Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Put Over Podcast. This is I swear to God, I'm not being paid by the NWA. I have never spoken to Corgan or Lagana or anybody. I do a really cool job. I meet really cool people, and I get to do cool interviews with what is legitimately people from my favorite wrestling show. I can say that because it's true. I'm not paid by anybody to say that. Anyways, back to subject though, ladies and gentlemen. There's really no introduction needed for this man. It's Eddie freaking Kingston. Eddie, thank you for coming on to the show.
Ah, man, of course. Trying to get a little better lighting.
Of course.
What's up, man?
I'm very excited. I've been trying to get Puerto Ricans onto the show forever. Been trying to rap, you know?
I feel you haven't hit up Low Key Homicide or
No, I have, like, throughout the years. I've been doing the show for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Throughout the years, trying to, do it. Last year, I tried, I think the link is still in my bio, and I forgot to erase it on Twitter. I tried to do a charity thing where I hooked up with this T-shirt site to help with the natural disaster stuff that was going on at the time. And I couldn't, I got some people to say yes, but like I was discussing with you before, it's hard to keep people on track when you're so busy. It's not anyone's fault, but, with the show getting more popular, who knows? It might be something worth giving a whack at again.
No.
Yeah. The original plan was like I was gonna give my entire cut, 100% of it, just straight to Puerto Rico. Like that was the plan. Yeah. I mean, but anyways, let's get to the actual show. Again, Eddie, I'm really excited to have you here. When we originally scheduled this episode, you had same day done a really interesting post about Santana and Ortiz. And I'm not sure if you remembered, but you said something about you guys had a match.
Yeah, I talk a lot about guys, so I don't remember. I was going to talk trash on me because of my haircut.
It actually wasn't trash. That was the interesting thing, though. It was actually this pretty long-winded post. I probably should have written it down specifically, but something to the effect of, like, you were still with Impact at the time. You guys had a tag match. And
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. They caught us off guard with a picture.
Yeah.
A picture between me, Ortiz, and Santana.
Yeah, what brought that up when you posted that? That was really interesting.
In all honesty, someone put it up for the first time, and I saw it, and I was like, man, I'm posting it today, and I'm just, I don't have a lot of friends in wrestling. I have a lot of associates, and my circle's very small. So I just wanted, I just also wanted them to remember that guys like me and people who are in the group want to see them do better than, than us. They're almost not like our kids, but like since they're younger than us, we kind of treat them.
I understand. I did wrestle for a short time, and I can kind of speak from the other side of that coin where I looked up to a lot of the people who, I trained with and speak with. Even to this day, I still do. A lot of people I look up to almost like surrogate father figures or big brothers or things like that nature. It really is that kind of, bonding experience.
Yeah. And that's what Homicide is, basically the whole crew.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's right. And all that stuff, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. Actually he is on the list because the current I don't want to say storyline because I didn't feel real, because you're a really interesting case when it comes to wrestling, because how do I put this?
I've heard that before, and sometimes in a good way and sometimes in a bad way.
Oh no, I do mean it in a good way, and let me clarify.
Like, oh no.
The best characters in wrestling, I've always been told, again, I've being brought up in the business, are you to 11, but with you it doesn't feel like even 11. It just feels like you. Eddie Kingston is just Eddie Kingston. You don't fake it. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a character. It just feels like you, And
well, I tell you, it is me, but it's me at 17.
Fair enough.
So that's why it may not feel like I'm all the way turned up. When I was in my teenage years, I was a scumbag. Like, I'm not going to lie, but I used to lie to people constantly. I would, do other things. I don't want to indict myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was a punk kid, and I was always angry. I was just an angry kid. I was angry. I guess, and it took me years to realize why I was angry. I was angry because I was the only mixed kid in my neighborhood. I'm Irish and Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
I'm older now. I'm 38. So, but at the time, that's not a common thing. I learned about racism in like second or third grade, you know, being called a spick and stuff. So that started my cycle of anger until, you know, maybe until 8 years ago. But, you know, but I've learned how to not be a scumbag and stuff. So, long-winded, sorry for rambling.
That's what the show's for. Please do.
That's why I act the way I act in wrestling, because I act the way I would at 17.
Oh, I completely understand.
Yeah, when a situation pops up, it's not like, what would I do now? It's different. It's, what would Eddie
What
Kingston
you've
do
done at 17.
17 years old, and I was like, well, I would do this. You know what I mean? So
I get that.
that's why it feels like 11, because I was at 11 as a kid, you know?
Oh, absolutely. By the way, to the fans and the thing who are asking if they can ask questions, yes, that's why we do this on Instagram Live. Please bring up your questions in the comments if you choose to do so. Anyways, I totally understand that. I'm a Mexican and Puerto Rican. I grew up in a lot of Latin neighborhoods, so up until Obama was elected when I was 11, I didn't really experience a lot of it because I was mostly just around other Latinos. Somehow in that time, I learned very little Spanish, which is really embarrassing. I'm trying to learn now, but
I'm with you. I get it. I don't speak a lick of Spanish.
Very little.
I can understand it because of all the years of being around it, you know, and I know all the bad words.
Yes. Oh my God.
Speak real slow Spanish to me, real slow with a couple of curse words or slang words in there. I'll get it. It'll take me a minute, but I'll put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, well, like I said, until I was like 11 years old, I didn't really realize, I'm actually different from some people who are around me for a really silly reason I can't even control. And it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. So I do, on some level, yeah, I kind of understand that.
At an early age, I think about second or third grade.
Yeah.
Racism and stuff, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but you know what, though? It didn't really, it makes me laugh now because all the guys that were racist, a lot of them have, you know, some type of Latin girlfriend or wife, and it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I feel that. What I feel kind of proud of is that I'm engaged, and I'm engaged to a Jewish girl. So I feel like I'm already on the right track. You know what I mean?
The white boys fell for that Latin heat, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly.
It works both ways, apparently. I've got my ring right here.
So,
I love this job. Back to, I wanted to talk more about homicide because that was the whole reason I brought up you being not necessarily, you know, a full-on character like a lot of your constituents. I think that's the word. You know, because the current storyline involves something that the Pope was, you know, started talking a little bit of smack about homicide, and you took it personally.
yeah.
You mentioned in a moment that shocked a lot of people, and even watching the footage now, it's very raw, that homicide stopped you from committing suicide? This is real, though. This is why I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. Without even knowing it, either. Without even knowing it. It was, I believe in signs, you know, I'm Catholic, you know, I believe in God, whatever. If you don't, respect to anybody who's watching who doesn't, that's your shit. Just like this is mine, you know?
Right, yeah.
Going through a rough time. I deal with depression and all that stuff. I've been on Zoloft since I was like 20 years old. You know what I mean? Whatever, mental health. We're all a little screwy, I think.
Yeah.
So other people just good at hiding it. I wasn't. So what happened was I went through the depression. It was a long one. And it was a situation where I grabbed the knife and I said, okay, that's it. I'm over this. I'm done. And I walked. I didn't want to do anything in the house because at the time somebody was living there and I didn't want them to see the body. So I went to a little pond near my house and I'm sitting there smoking cigarette after cigarette, just in my head, like what to do. My phone goes off and I go, oh, it's homicide. I just throw the knife away. I go, yeah, what's up? And then we were just talking and we talked for like 3 hours. And
Wow.
Yeah, and that was it, and I was over it. And it was talking to him, even though he didn't know, talking to him made me start thinking about, and I know this is raw and kind of rugged and maybe a little harsh. It made me realize how selfish I was being
Okay.
by thinking that way, thinking I'm only hurting myself and not my mom, not my dad, not my little brother, not homicide, not my people in my group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not feel down. It actually snapped me out of it. I was like, I'm not a selfish person, so I got to stop. So that was my experience with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand that. There's actually that seems to be a more common occurrence, and my thought, at least my theory, is that it's kind of like with allow me to explain. This is kind of a little bit like ADHD, where that's a thing that's probably been around since the dawn of time. We only started recognizing it recently as a real thing, to which I have both, so there you go. But like I said, that's kind of one of the nice things about moving forward into the future, is that now it's being recognized as a real thing and we're dealing with it. You know, it's something that is being taken seriously.
Yeah, that's like I talk about mental health. I don't. Someone called me a mental health. What's someone who speaks up for it? What do they call them? I don't even know. I'm not good with big words. But anyway, advocate. There you go. They're like
Advocate. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kept going. No, I'm just saying what I think. Like, it's not a fact what I'm saying. It's just an opinion. So how am I an advocate? Like, I'm just talking about it, and it's like, you know what I mean? He said I was an advocate and stuff because I said it's really nice nowadays to not, I believe, not to have that big of a stigma if you're not mentally right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
when I was a kid, it was embarrassing.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And oh, you're going to therapy, and you're like, I had to go when I was 8. Again, I was an angry kid.
Yeah.
You go, and then it's like nobody wants to be told anything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, nobody wants, you can't say that you went there. And I always grew up in that family. My dad and my mom are both hard. My mom's a hard Puerto Rican woman. My father's a hard American Irish man from the Bronx. And they grew up in New York in the 60s, 70s, whatever. And they just always instilled in me, who cares? Who cares? My father used to always go, Eddie, you cannot control anybody's thoughts. You can only control yourself, how you think and how you react. Now, granted, when I was a kid, and even nowadays it's different. As a kid, 9 out of 10 times I would react wrong and get into a fight. Now I say it's about 5 out of 10. Still, it's not bad. It's not bad. I've grown up. But, you know what I mean? But that's why I never had a problem. That's why I never understood the stigma of it. And I feel like nowadays it's kind of going away a little bit. Just a little bit, I don't know. Maybe because I just don't see the big deal. Maybe I'm blind to the fact. You know what I mean?
I mean, who knows? Maybe part of that is, maturity, just growing up.
Yeah. Advocate for anything. Even one of my friend Caitlin from Chicago, she calls me a feminist. And I'm like, why? Well, this, and this. She'll name it. And I'm like, why are you labeling me? She gets really mad. But no, I'm not a feminist because I believe women should get paid the same as men. You know what I mean? Or whatever. That, to me, that doesn't make me a feminist. That's just a thing. That's like right, isn't it? Isn't that to do? Okay.
Two episodes.
I was like, why is she calling me a feminist?
2 episodes ago, I had Crowbar on the show. And we were talking about how crazy internet fans are, because he was still kind of learning social media. And that's one thing I didn't get to bring up, is that if you speak your mind even a little, suddenly this is your position, your like political association. Just yesterday, this gentleman was saying a picture of Danhausen and the goat head creature that you probably know I'm talking about. They were all like, this is where I jump off the ride. You're a Satanist. I'm not about it. And I was like, that's not actually a picture from Satanism. I know that because I'm educated. And like, oh, so you're a Satanist now. No, I'm not. I'm just not stupid.
This is a fact or an opinion. Yeah. No, that's how the internet is. You know what I mean? Like I honestly, everyone treads carefully on the internet, and I get why. I don't, because I feel I'm also not an asshole, so I don't have to worry about. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and look, if people get a little bit mad at me, there's clout in it, and I needed to get paid. So
Get that clout, brother.
yeah, I gotta get it. I mean, we're all struggling for money. I kind of need it, you know.
We all
So one of the things I touted you with, and many people would agree with me, when we scheduled this interview was, and I'm no one's paying me to say anything. I genuinely believe the things I say on the show is that you're one of the better talkers who are around now. You've been doing it a long time. So, I have a lot of people, who watch my show who are wrestlers in training. I made a lot of friends throughout the years, and we'd all like to know what goes into speaking your mind on the mics as fluently and as cleanly and as sharply as you do.
Yeah, first off, second off, I don't even think I do that. Like, again, it's not, I don't think I'm talking sharply. I'm just talking the way I would talk when I was 17, 18. You know what I mean? Just a lot less, even now, the way I talk, but it's a lot less cursing. When you know what I mean? But I tell guys all the time, take who you are. How would you really react? Treat this like a sport. If you want to treat it like sports entertainment, you still got to make sense of it. Like if someone tried to, I'd be like, if someone tried to smack your best friend in the face in real life, would you just sit there and let it happen? No. Same thing with promos. Same thing with the ring. You got to bring some type of realism to it. And then they could say that's your character. What? Yeah, sure it is, I guess. But I just talk the way, the way I normally would. And then like inspiration stuff is like a lot of it, the stuff that inspires me, a lot of it is not, there's a lot of wrestlers, but a lot of it is music. Tupac, AFI, Johnny Cash.
Oh, I wanted to get into that. Like finish, but when you're done, I want to get into that.
Murder, Death. A group my friend put me on to a couple months ago, Builders and Butchers. Anything lyrically that I like, I'll listen to. And that also, like when I'm listening to it and I hear a great lyric, I start building a promo in my head. And I won't even remember it until the day of the show.
I feel that. I noticed a lot of the T-shirts you wear to shows.
Yeah.
I've seen Tupac and Wu-Tang, and like I said, growing up, my dad, raised me on a lot of it's kind of the outlier is Sublime, but other than that, Tupac, Biggie, Wu-Tang, NWA, a lot of that stuff. It's kind of weird how that one kind of fits in two ways. But anyways, I was even watching the NWA show recently on Hulu. If you've ever heard of that,
Yeah.
Wild.
Wu-Tang show. I watched it coming out. I remember they talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to ask you, like, specifically, anything you think has really inspired who you are as a person. Like for me, for example, a lot of people call me crazy for this, but my favorite Wu-Tang member is Ghostface.
Mine too.
Oh,
Because
finally someone agrees with me.
he is the prototypical New York rapper. That's why.
Yes.
That's it. You hear him, you hear New York.
Absolutely. Did you hear the 12 Reasons to Die album?
Yeah.
That still is crazy to me today. Just as this like very creative and strange work of art that like can only come from someone who's probably legitimately crazy.
Yeah. Every artist is nuts. Every artist is. Come on. Who was it? Cut off his ear. He was an artist, right? He's nuts. He was whack.
It was. I only know this because my girl is very artsy. Vincent Van Gogh.
Ah, there you go. So that dude Van Gogh, he was whacked. He was nuts.
Absolutely.
There you go. Put that on a T-shirt with Van Gogh's like painting. Van Gogh was nuts.
I will. I absolutely will. I don't know if you're huge into video games like a lot of my modern audience is, but this is just a fun little thing about Ghostface I want to share. They put him in a video game called Def Jam when I was a kid, and apparently, when they were discussing his moves in the game, he had this piece of jewelry that was an eagle on his wrist, right? And he kept telling people, I want it, to quote him, I want this eagle to flap my wrist and claw motherfuckers' eyes out. and and they couldn't physically make that happen. It just wasn't possible. So they told him yes and didn't do it. So finally, launch party, they just sold like a bazillion copies, and he goes up to the top guy and says, "The fuck's my eagle?"
That's a New Yorker. That's a New Yorker. That's a Killer Hills 10304. That was, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I knew that would make you laugh. I wanted to share that with you so bad.
Yeah, because they also did that stuff at the Source Awards and stuff like that. Like when they, you know what I mean? Like I think there's some story about Puffy and Mace getting into it with Ghost and Ray. You know what I mean? Yeah, one time a guy, I remember this story because it was on Hot 97, like when whatever, and it was like this guy was drawing Wu-Tang for an interview, like drawing pictures of them and making it like almost like Ninja Turtle-esque or whatever it was.
That's cool.
Next thing you know, Master Killer punches the guy in the face. Guy's in his car. Guy rolls down his window, goes, "Hey, what's up?" Master Killer punches him in the face, says, "Wu-Tang ain't nothing to fuck with," and just walks away. That's New York. At the time period in the 90s, that's how we all acted.
That's great. I made a joke that you remind me of my dad because you two are both Puerto Rican New Yorkers and look a little like alike. I swear to God, just listening to you, like it is bizarre. All New York, Puerto Rico. I mean, not all because that's a gross, exaggeration. But it's so true, though.
Dude, I get that because like anytime there's some type of Puerto Rican New Yorker on TV or whatever, or everybody, "Oh, that's like Eddie Kingston," or "Eddie Kingston's like that guy," and I'm like, no, I'm nowhere near. I'm half Irish, bro. This guy's full Puerto. How is this? But it's a comparison. I get it. I love it though.
Oh yeah. So we strayed like way off my list for a second. This always happens. I love this show. Okay. Oh yeah. So speaking of NWA, who apparently the NWA account showed up in the chat somewhere. So they're watching me now, and I should probably be careful.
Speak your mind. They know. They already know what I'm gonna do.
No, I know. All right. So, anyways, I actually made a 3-second cameo on one of the Circle Squared episodes. I had to start, and it was the same one that Colby Carino made an appearance on. Yeah. And I remember you two used to be a thing, I believe, in Evolve.
Yes. Part of the
So, I remember that, and I was curious as to ask if you watched that match and if you had any thoughts on Carino's performance.
Yeah, I watched it when it all went down. You know what I mean? And he has a very, very, extremely bright future. And he grew up in this, so he has an advantage. At least mentally, he has an advantage. And just knowing him personally, he got the drive. So, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised in 3 years, 4 years, tops 5, that he's all over the place and people are begging for him.
Oh yeah, that's another really weird thing about.
As long as he doesn't fuck with me, he'll be okay.
I can't say that in my bravest day that I would.
Yeah, but you never know because his father fucked with homicide, so he may feel a certain way. Who knows?
Good point. Anyways, that's another weird thing about the modern era of. You know what? I can't even say it just pertains to wrestling. I think it's just really weird in the modern day how many people who are getting famous are both my age or younger than me. I'm 22 for reference. So it's weird because like Juice WRLD died at 21. Tentacion was, I don't even think he'd hit 20 yet. I think Post Malone is only 24, I think. But then bringing it back to wrestling, you've got Tyler Bate and I who are the same age. You got Jordan Grace and I who are the same age. Is it weird for you running around and you're seeing basically rosters and rosters filled with kids?
No, it's not weird because for me, I don't see myself as the veteran because I don't think I've done anything in this business yet because I haven't reached my goals. No. So to me, I'm still hungry like they are. And
fair enough.
And I look at them as competition. All right, you're hungry. I'm hungry too. This who's gonna go. You know what I mean? Whose hunger is gonna drive them more? And like, That's why I like being around those guys. You mentioned Tyler Bate. Before everything went down, you know, where him, Trent Seven, and Pete Dunne did the NXT UK and took off, I wrestled all those guys.
Yeah.
They were my competition, and I loved it. And I love seeing that stuff happen because those guys are hungry. And they're still going at it. You know what I mean? Like Travis Banks, too. Like him. And there's so many people. Walter. There's so many guys who I've wrestled or known before everything. Jordan Devlin, who I always make fun of him. Not make fun, I bust his balls because I tell him all the time.
Yeah, that's what you do.
But it's kind of true. I tell him. So someone asked about who I want to fight at OTT. And I guess you could put Jordan Devlin on that list because Jordan Devlin to me is like Zack Sabre Jr. Like I've known them for years. You know what I mean? But they won't get in the ring with me. They won't.
Ooh.
It's not talking, it's just being honest. You know what I mean? Even though
Being honest.
Even though Rev Pro, what's up, before the whole Corona gimmick went down, booked me for Zack Sabre Jr. After all these years of me talking trash on him, busting his balls, you know what I mean? So
do I have your permission to put Corona gimmick on a t-shirt?
But here's my thing with Jordan Devlin. I even told him, I said, man, you're lucky you signed with WWE, man, because they ain't gonna let you fight me. Because he knows I'll light his chest up, and next thing you know, he has to go to TV with my fingerprints on his chest. You know what I mean? So he's like, I don't think OTT is going to do it, but, you know.
Well, they're going to find out. You got to ask them.
I'm telling you right now, they won't. They won't. Well, OTT will try to do it. Devlin won't do it. He won't. It's to Jordan. Jordan knows. I say this to his face in the locker room, and we laugh about it. But he knows, like, after we laugh about it, I go, no, man, I'm serious. I'm serious. That's what I tell him. Also, yeah, I want to do it in OTT, but also for OTT, what was that, Phillip? Also for OTT, I want to wrestle Jigsaw. Me and Jigsaw have, for those who don't know him, he trained with me at Chikara. And during our, like, early years in the Indies, we wrestled each other and, like, because no one knew us, so we wrestled each other all over these like different states, but we never got a different country. So just to add something there, like for a friend, me and Jigsaw.
International audience. That is an interesting addition. I like that.
Because I know Jordan Devlin won't do it, but, Jigsaw for sure. At least Zack Sabre Jr. said yes, so I give him this much of credit. You know what I mean, little prick. He knows I know. It's competition. It's not a hate thing.
No.
I look at both those guys and I respect what they do in the ring. That's why I want to get in there with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people say I'm an intimidating figure. I apologize. I don't mean to be. You know what I mean? I just done some things and seen some things and kind of shapes you. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Someone say OTT and it just clicked in my head. So,
one thing you mentioned, we scheduled it for this time because you were doing Muay Thai?
Yeah, Muay Thai. I didn't go tonight, to be honest with you, because I didn't sleep last night.
Fair enough.
I didn't sleep well, but I'm going tomorrow. Yeah, Muay Thai, doing it for 4 years, maybe.
But wait. So you went somewhere though? It's quarantine.
American Top Team, East Orlando.
Huh?
Yeah. So I go out.
All right. I want to know how. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to ask if there's. So you've been doing that for 4 years now. Is that what you just said?
4 years, yeah.
Okay. So weird. You started doing that about the same time I started the show. I wanted to ask if there's any way you've applied that in wrestling, because this seems like a kind of obvious question that popped into my head when we were talking.
Yeah. I also started grappling. Like, I know very little from pro wrestling, so they're sharpening that. I did start BJJ, but I didn't last long because right when I started BJJ, I had 2 Muay Thai fights, one after another. So I had to focus on that. So, amateur fights. So, yeah, but to me, what I take from the MMA training is the mentality. And I think
is that something you'd like to explore?
What happened?
Is that something you'd like to explore, MMA?
Oh, I want at least one fight, yeah.
because when Thunder Rosa did hers, and I really do hope she does more. I saw the fight. I mean, she showed a definite promise, even if she didn't end up the winner. But anyways, they made a big deal out of that, and they always do. When people cross over to doing something new, that's just kind of the nature of how it goes. But it's one of those things where, to use your own words, you come off as an intimidating figure.
Yeah.
That definitely be something to see Eddie Kingston in the octagon. You know what I mean?
But but I take the mental, like the sport mental, into my matches. You know what I mean? It's not about moves for me. You know what I mean? I can leg kick a dude, but I'm gonna really do it. So you don't want me to. You know what I mean? So no, just take the mental of it. How you approach a fight is how you approach a match.
Right.
I always did that, but I approached it more as like a street fight instead of a match. So
yeah, absolutely. Someone I was talking to when I was telling them about this show wanted me to bring up someone, and this I don't want to bring it down, but this might end up being in that area a little bit of being one of the more serious things asked about on the show. So forgive me, but they wanted me to bring up Larry Sweeney.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. It's all good. No, the more people know him, the better.
Then please share.
Larry Sweeney, bro. Look him up. But yeah, you bring it up. Yeah.
So they wanted me to ask you. So I saw the promo why that would be so important to you when you were going up for the Grand Championship against Quackenbush, I believe is what the match was. And I was told to ask you, why Larry Sweeney was so important, or apparently is still so important to you.
So he was legit one of my first close friends in wrestling. I had a little group, but no one really as close as him. And we just clicked. When you're on the road with somebody for 18 hours or 8 hours, going both ways, or, you know what I mean, traveling the roads, paying your dues. And me and him would just stay up in the car for hours talking, while the other people who had to drive next or whatever would be sleeping. And you just get to know someone and you get to click, and then you just become close. Like, I went to his house for Thanksgiving. He came to mine for Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Like, it became a real friendship, like real solid friendship. And we were there for each other. We told each other a lot of things, like just friendship level that not a lot of people know. And still to this day, it's like him and Homicide know a lot about me and other things I keep to myself. But they're the ones who get to know that. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
That's important to me. Now, the reason why he was so important and is still important to everyone he met, because he was such a charismatic guy. For instance, he had a laugh. You didn't even have to know what he's laughing about. As soon as he laughs, you laugh. He had that infectious laugh. Always wanted to have a good time. Never wanted, you know what I mean? We'll go up to people, "What's up, brother?" Just joking around, you know what I mean? Right away. Instead of doing the, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?" He's every person. "Hey, Sweeney, what's up? Brother, what's going on? 12 large, how you feeling?" You know what I mean? And it was genuine. It wasn't an act. So, you know what I mean? That's what I think a lot of people can say about him. He was genuine. There was no act. If he was happy that day, brother, he was happy to everybody. You know, so. Yeah, man. Miss him every day. Miss him every day. But all I can really do for him is to wrestle and do my best and be the best at it, and just always talk about him when his name's brought up, or talk about him when the time's right, you know? So look him up on YouTube, Larry Sweeney, man. That's my boy. He would have been a star. He would have took off. So, rest in peace, bro.
Rest in peace, Mr. Sweeney. I'll make sure to, when I put this video on YouTube, I'll make sure to add some links to some Larry Sweeney matches. We'll make that a thing. And make sure people check them out.
The promos are just a class on their own. So, for sure.
So, I try to avoid this question usually, but again, getting to know you as a person is a lot like getting to know the character because you two are so similar. Again, you mentioned it's more like going up to 17, as opposed, but still, it is a part of you. Anyways, this is a really basic question I usually don't ask, but what got you into wrestling in the first place?
Yeah. My story is basically the typical one where you found it as a kid, but I'll elaborate. I was a hyper kid growing up. I couldn't sit still. I would run around like a madman. So during the summer when my mom had me and there was no school, she would only buy me wrestling tapes because from the VHS.
I'm familiar. I'm familiar.
I guess I'm a boomer, right? I don't know. I was born in 81, whatever. My mom went to a place called Video Visions, which is just a mom and pop video VHS store. And she bought anything that said pro wrestling on it because that's the only thing that would have me sit down and not move for whatever how long that tape was. So I just fell in love with wrestling then and there. And I got real lucky from my mom not knowing what WWF and NWA and Memphis and World Class. She didn't know the difference. So she bought whatever was there or rented whatever was there at the time. So I got to see a lot of Memphis wrestling, a lot of World Class, a lot of NWA, you know what I mean, from the tapes and stuff. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Hey, Puff, I'm going to smack the shit out of you. He's a good kid.
Puff, I know Puff. I don't know him, but I know him and Blackwood and their whole crew. I love them.
Hey, man. You don't want to catch.
I like how you say like intimidating figure in quotes, but then you say shit like you don't want to catch these hands.
No, but I like Puff. He wants to go that route, dog. Like I got no problem, man. I feel God. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
I want to go back to friendship and wrestling. This is actually not a subject I've really touched on before. Now that I think about it. What's the name? Bro, one day I'm going to get my ass beat by you.
Some business, though. I don't beat nobody up for free anymore. When you're good at something, you got to get paid for it. So anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wanted this to be the year where I made my first buck doing the broadcast part of wrestling since I got hurt. I was hoping to get booked doing like the commentary table or the interviews or whatever. Just something small. I literally would ask for like $1 just to say I did it.
Yeah.
Things change, you know what I mean? Well, we'll get there though. We'll get there. As long as friggin' Jarvis keeps being nice to me, I'll just keep going. Every day, I swear to God, he just posts something and I'm like, can't be as angry as I was 10 minutes ago.
Oh. Can't. Jarvis, nah, man. Can't.
But back to what I was trying to get to before. It's wrestling is a really unique bonding experience because it's kind of like one of the few times you can beat each other bloody and somehow that grew you together closer. It's just a strange occurrence like that. There really can't be replicated unless it's like, maybe like, boxing or MMA because, beat the crap of each other. But how do I put this? What does that mean to you, I guess? Like you mentioned, Sweeney and Homicide being so close and how that, is very, very important to you, stuff like that.
Wrestling, you have a lot of associates. It's not a personal thing. Like I know a lot of people when I say that they're like, "Oh, Eddie hates everybody." No. It's not a personal thing. To me, friendship is a little bit deeper than just seeing you once a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or once a week. It's good to see you, but we're just associates. We're work associates. That's what you get a lot in wrestling. So when you do get real friends, which are very few, by the way, because there's a lot of snakes in wrestling. This is a selfish business. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I knew what I was getting myself into when I got in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so when you find that, you know what I mean, you got to stick tight And then like I have other guys who are my friends too, and they don't come from my neighborhood. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't even act like me. But like you said, through the wrestling part, like me and Josh Alexander, we have beaten each other up numerous of times, but there's a respect there. And out of that respect, we became friends. You know what I mean? Like I hit him up, or I hit him up to see how his kids doing. I hit up a lot of guys who I'm friends with to see how their kids are, or how's the wife and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like real conversation. Not, hey man, what's up? I need a booking. No, it's, hey man, kid's getting big, dog. Oh no, we're getting old. Because it's real talk. It's not, I'm not doing this to fucking get anything out of you. This is a friendship. Him, Ethan Page, you know what I mean? Guys like that, like who are outside my inner circle, I guess you could say, but are still my friends. They're like there and I'm with them and I got their back, they got my back. You know what I mean? Like I said, my inner circle is just homicide, really. But anyway, but like, yeah, there's other guys outside of it who are I consider close friends, and it's from the ring. A lot of them, you know, Zach, Ethan Page, Josh Alexander, man. I know I'm forgetting the guys, but there's a lot of them who the friendship spurred from stuff in the ring. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is a little weird, but it's also very few and far between. There's not a lot of friends in this business and I know it's cliche, but there's really only one spot in each company to be the top guy. There's not top guy number one and top guy number two. There's only one top guy, so you can't really have a lot of friends. Oh, me and MVP are cool. MVP's in the circle, brother.
Oh, I love MVP.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's, you know, wrestling's weird like that, but also not weird because there's a lot of snakes and a lot of selfishness. You got to keep your grass cut to see the snakes, you know, show up. But it's just, that's part of the beast. That's why, like I told you before, when I consider somebody a friend of mine, it's a deep,
really,
deep thing to me, you know?
Something that I have a couple friends who are like very low level hip hop artists, to bring this back to rap for a second, you know, and a lot of them, I ask them like, oh cool, have you made made any friends recently? Like this is I know it's not the same where like you have to work with people, you know, but I mean like you figure you would like meet people. A lot of them are like, no, we don't really like lots of people, and it always is weird to me, and I always kind of hit me in like a, what do you call it, in kind of a sad way, because it's like I always felt thinking about like, Juice and Tentacion, who are again like people who are my age or younger, and it always made me so sad that like they went the way they did. And I always hoped like, maybe the older generation of rappers who are still around with us, might look at these kids and see they have no idea what the hell they're doing, and try and like, but it's not going to happen. It would work, but it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's just, that's the nature of any type of entertainment or any type of content. Yeah, I mean, pro wrestling's in its weird middle ground.
Yeah.
People just call it entertainment. Other people call it sport. I believe it's a sport. Call it a sport, but it's both. It's in the middle. You know what I mean?
Not to throw Drake under the bus, but Eli Drake, but apparently he was on Cole Cabana's podcast, and he was saying like he wants credits like the end of wrestling shows where they like say real people's names and stuff.
Funny, the NWA used to do that, but not the wrestlers' real names. They used to do like executive producer and all that. Yo, beyond one of my favorite photographers, man. Anywhere, so it don't not just in the UK, anywhere. But yeah, man. Just like they used to do that. They used to roll the credits, but everyone has an opinion, and honestly, they're all just opinions. I think
Absolutely.
Pro wrestling's smack dab in the middle. That's why we have so many different things.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to people about Meltzer the other day, and I said Meltzer's a very educated person, and he has a lot of educated opinions, but an educated opinion is still an opinion. It's just one with more thought behind it.
Yeah, that's all it is, really.
Yeah.
No offense to Dave, I didn't even read the dirt sheets when I was just a fan. I just never got into it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to know stuff.
Yeah.
It was because to me it was like if I knew all this stuff, or if I knew who was jumping to WCW, or who was jumping to WWF, or who from ECW was leaving and who was going to ECW or whatever, it would have took all the fun away.
Yeah.
It took all my surprise away. I didn't want to know the business aspect of it. You know, I just didn't want to know. Just like movies, like I don't want to hear Chris Evans talk about how much money he's making as Captain America. Just be Captain America, my man. I don't want to hear all. You know what I mean? Logan, what up, man? You know what I mean? But that's it. So I never got into that stuff, but I get why people do get into it. And, you know, what he says is still just an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know? And it's not a knock on him. You know what I mean? Just like, I'm not, because I have no ill feelings towards him, so it's not like I'm burying him. It's just an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys like Mike Johnson, who I love to death, you know what I mean? I'm not going to bury him, but when he does put out his opinion, it's his opinion. Mike likes to stick to facts and not say, I heard. You know what I mean? But, you know what I'm saying? If there is an opinion part, he even knows it. It's just an opinion. And I think a lot of people take everything from not just Meltzer, but from everybody as facts. When it's not. It's just an opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an incredibly low-level, I use the term journalist in very loose, you know, because like a lot of what I do is just what we're doing now, and this is just for fun, you know what I mean? But like some people even take my opinions and try and use them against me, and I'm like, so you don't have to agree with me, I don't care.
That's what, yeah, people forget about that. People forget you don't have to agree. He's not telling you you're wrong. You know what I mean? It's just, people get defensive, man, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Feel about it. Yeah, I can't. So
problem is when you're, this guy got a little hard in the chat.
It's true though, my man.
It is true, yeah.
Ain't lying.
Yeah, for the audio version of this, I'm just gonna read this out loud. The problem is when you're on your way to the top, everyone wants your shit, so always have to watch your back for snakes. Bane Wolfpack.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That's not just in pro wrestling. That's in
life. Yeah.
Respect, man. I get it.
Eddie, we are sort of winding down to the time when Instagram is going to start kicking me out. So, yeah, I would do this for hours, but Instagram will kick me out. Like, that's how it works. But I tell this to everyone. I would be thrilled to have you on again another time.
Yeah. Look, I'm in Florida. Like I said, today they opened up the gym, so I'm going to actually leave my house.
Yes.
I've been quarantining myself for 15 days. So, you know what I mean? Argentina, man. Salute.
This isn't part of the show, but I want to show you this. Just real quick. I'm in college, so I'm still, you know, living with my parents for the time being because they were nice enough to let me do that so I can get my education. Swear to God, I wouldn't afford it otherwise. Like, holy crap. It is a nightmare. But they're building a gym in my house.
That's good. That's
because
good.
they have their college education.
Yeah,
so
but
that's
you better be in there every day, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Up until then, I've run like almost a 5K like every day, just trying to stay in shape.
Nice, respect.
Yeah. Anyways, though, you know, we have to start winding down. So, Eddie, I am incredibly grateful you came on the show. Thank you very much. It was really nice to just vibe with somebody for a while. You know, it was really cool.
Like whatever, man. Let me talk. I ain't got nothing else to do.
Do you have anything?
Chirac, man. Chirac, my man from Chicago. What up?
Anything specific you'd like to plug while we're still on the air?
Just follow me on Eddie Kingston 81 on Instagram because that's where you can go to my Twitter. I don't remember it. Whatever. It's like Mad Kingston 1981, I think.
I'll make sure it shows up in the description.
But everything I put up on Instagram goes to Twitter anyway. But if you want to get any merch or whatever, go to prowrestlingtees.com. Also, I'm getting my own. Just put an order in for my own shirts, so I'll put that up on Instagram. I'm selling my gear for right now. And also, I found a bunch of 8x10s. They're old, but I'll sign them and sell them for y'all. But just stay on to Eddie Kingston 81, and you'll see when I'm doing all that shit.
Real quick before we go, I actually just remembered I have one last question, and this is a very silly one, so you can probably just answer it quick. What's up with your TikTok?
Oh, I actually deleted it the other day. I was like, no.
You did?
Yeah.
The name is still there. I actually even added you today, I think. I don't think it worked.
I haven't gone on it in like 2 weeks. No,
why did you posting yourself just staring dead-eyed into the camera?
I was bored, and I see everyone doing all this funny TikTok shit. Again, I guess Boomer, right? What up, man? Get Boomer at me. But I saw everyone doing all this crazy shit, and in my head, I was like, you know what would be funny? If I just play songs that I like, or even just play the hottest song that's out there today on their like little list, and just stare at the camera. And not do anything.
Nothing.
Don't smile, nothing. Don't move. Just dead stare for 30 seconds.
That's hilarious.
I was like, I thought it was funny. I was like, I don't care. And the baby, Diamante, thought it was funny. She's part of the crew. What up to the baby? The nickname, the baby, Diamante. What's up, mama? You know what I mean? She's down with the crew. She knows what's up. DHS, LAX. You know what I mean?
All right. Before we go, Lagana, Billy, if one of you was watching, I saw it. If you're watching, you know, I know you guys already have your NWA podcast, but what I do here is a little different. I'm just saying, you know.
My man's reaching. That's the hustle, baby. That's the hustle.
Hey, I gotta hustle where I can, man. I'm trying to get through school.
Yeah, the worst thing they can do right now is not answer you. Okay.
The worst thing they can do.
No, and respect, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this episode. It was a lot of fun to do this one. I'll make sure to see all you guys real soon when we do the next one. You guys can always tag people to me and tell them you want to see them on my show, because that's usually how, you know, people hear about my show is through word of mouth. So, you know, please try and do it when you can. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.